Hi, I'm 𝐋𝐤𝐯𝐶 and we are recording live from ITC Vegas at the Live at ITC set, proudly sponsored by Monitor. I'm thrilled to be here today with Bhaskar Kalita, also known as BK, the Global Head of Financial Services and Insurance at Quantiphi, an AI-first digital engineering company. Today, we'll be diving into how Agentic AI is transforming the insurance landscape, from underwriting and claims to risk assessment and customer engagement. BK will share actionable insights on how insurers can adopt AI responsibly and drive measurable business value. Let's get started. Great to have you here, BK.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, great to see you guys here. So AI has been around in various forms for years, but Agentic AI in particular is being talked about as the next kind of big leap.
Yeah.
So to start off, can you help us understand what exactly differentiates Agentic AI from traditional AI approaches, especially in the context of insurance, and why should insurers be paying attention today rather than waiting?
Great question. I think if you want to think about Agentic AI in the context of evolving business needs and technology progresses, just think about it, right? I mean, 30, 40 years ago, businesses moved from paper-based work where you write everything to some kind of an application that can store data and process them, right? So you move to more an electronic system, which was primarily doing the same work that a manual effort will do, but with 10 to 20%, 30% of efficiency gains. Then came the digital world where you got more cooler tools like portals, you have Web 2.0, you're talking about 3.0 coming in. You saw a big transition into modes of communication using these technology platforms. You saw apps coming, etc., things like that. What Agentic AI will do and how it will differentiate is the fact that it will radically change the way people engage. And I'm going to talk about an example here we're in insurance and we're in an insurance event, so I'll take an example. Right? For example, if you have to get a risk binded and you want to get a quote out, there is a standard industry norm in practice where usually if it's a commercial insurance, you will have the person going to his agent, the agent will advise, go see the place, go to the carriers, fill up the form, and they get a quote in like 3 to 4 weeks. Here is your quote. That's the usual standard norm, but Agentic AI is going to do a variety of things in an asynchronous way in this whole value chain upfront, so the business model will change. So Agentic AI will transform the business. So technology will decide what kind of business flows will be in existence rather than business flows defining what kind of application you need to build. So it's going to completely flip.
Yeah, interesting. So it's not just about the intelligence or automation, but it's about AI making decisions and driving workflows autonomously, right? So you've also talked about levels of autonomy from simple task automation to fully autonomous agents. For insurers who are just beginning their Agentic AI journey, how do they decide which level to adopt first, and how should they think about scaling over time?
Great question. I think, first of all, levels of autonomy, you will see, single task agent. You ask them to do a particular task, they will do that particular task every time they're called upon, right? These are typically any kind of functions that, programmatically anybody used to write, or kind of an RPA bot that knows a set of things to be done, but they only will do those set of things. Agents will typically be intelligent enough to know and decide and plan their tasks. So that will be a biggest difference that agents will come. So that's the level of autonomy that we are talking about. Leading into agents talking to agents, we now know that there are a lot of MCP gateways in place, gateway protocols. Agents talking to agents will be the most critical aspect in our lunch and learn. Yesterday we spoke about 4 different categories of agents. I think agents will decide the way they want to interact at what levels of autonomy.
Fascinating. So starting with smaller contained workflows helps build confidence and demonstrate value to the stakeholder before moving to larger scale initiatives. Is that right? So then can you maybe share some recent success stories from Quantiphi where Agentic AI has driven measurable impact?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you look at the whole insurance value chain, you have 3 primary journeys. You're talking about a quote journey, you're talking about a policy journey covering all life events of an insured, and then finally, if there is a claim, how do you manage the journey? So if you look at in each of these journeys, claim followed by quote have been the two journeys where agentic AI is making an initial dent, and we have been part of a bunch of those conversations, right? I mean, from creating autonomous claims processes, especially pick and choose those parts of a claims process which can be automated if you don't have the organizational buy-in to do a wholesome change, but start small. So we have got a lot of measurable successes in making sure FNOLs are being done appropriately, coverage validations are being done. There are a bunch of agents that we have had successes with. And then on the quoting side, how do you take care of submissions, especially for those lines where it takes a lot of time and effort? We are completely automating submission process, leading into getting the data in the hands of an underwriter at a much more faster pace. So we had real life successes in these two primary areas. Policy, given the fact that the journeys are a little bit, are not that standard. It depends on how the insured moves. We haven't seen too many use cases popping up, but I think that'll be the third frontier.
Impressive. So moving on to the topic of governance, insurance is very highly regulated, obviously. Yeah. So responsible deployment is critical. How can insurers implement agentic AI while maintaining compliance, governance, and trust without slowing down innovation?
Great question. I think that's where a lot of effort will go in and needs to go in. Yeah. Right? I mean, you are talking about certain business processes or applications that can decide on its own what to do. And so unless and until you have those checks and balances, you will never be able to get past the commissioner, right? So what needs to happen is that evals will have to get contextualized from an industry standpoint. Now, if you look at evals from an agentic AI standpoint, there are 3-4 different dimensions. One is obviously you check on transparency, explainability. So you have a bunch of scores around it for evals. Then you come to primarily, once you have looked at explainability, you come to fairness, policy compliance. Are you complying with the organization's policy? Is it able to resist any malicious prompts being thrown at it and not reacting, things like that? And then finally, the safety pillar, where you want to look at failure containment scores, etc., and things like that. So these evals are great, but beyond that, what is critical is that you bring the business context. If you are putting an eval for an AI agentic AI application on the quoting side, you absolutely need to focus on fairness and policy compliance, because there are things that can go wrong out there. Yeah.
So governance doesn't have to slow you down, right? It's about putting the right framework in place.
Yes,
from the start. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there are different models in place. The ones that we are primarily seeing customers adopt are the hub and spoke model, but in a little bit of a different way. Hub and spoke model used to be primarily with hub being more governance, directional view, architectures, etc. And the spokes are the ones where actual real work happens. Now, but in an agentic ecosystem, the hubs are becoming the providers of the technology landscape. When you try to build an agentic AI ecosystem, before going to those agents, you need the foundation. You need repeatable templates. You need inference engines. You need a bunch of stuff to be in place to build agent in scale. And we are seeing the hubs in a lot of customer organization becoming the provider of that particular platform or the tech which the spokes can use to build their agents.
Amazing. And technology is only half the story, right? Another roadblock for companies is often adoption. So, and adoption depends on people, I think. So what strategies ensure that underwriters, claims adjusters, and other teams actually embrace these tools?
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's more around human adoption, how they are using these tools. See, I think the level of skepticism whenever you bring a new technology always exists. It is nothing new. It happened in the past as well. You will always have people being skeptical of what value it can deliver. Agentic AI is obviously no different. At the same time, it also brings a lot of hope that it can do things that we don't know right now. So, from an adoption standpoint, always your clients will be looking out for early successes. So making sure you have established the right success criteria, the hypothesis that you are trying to prove, it is well explained, so that you can have all these key stakeholders or personas adopting it. They should see this more as an assistant, ability to help them. I mean, I always take the analogy of those runners who are now using those AI-enabled plates from China where you can run fast. So think of agentic AI as something that can only help you, do your stuff better and faster.
People are more likely to use technology that actually makes their work and their life more efficient, right? So, So finally, let's look forward and see over the next few years. I would like to hear, how do you see agentic AI actually reshaping the insurance landscape, particularly in underwriting claims and customer engagement?
Sure. I mean, I do see that, as I told at the start of the interview, right? I mean, gone are the days where business needs will drive the technology. The available technology and its possibilities will create new business operating models. That's the difference on agentic AI. So the way I see it, ability and the scale at which agents will perform will drive business leaders to think about newer workflows, optimize processes, ability to get customers faster, serve them better, be nimble in product selection, etc. So you might have entirely new business design processes being put in place through agentic AI. So I see massive changes that comes in. I mean, anyways, insurance was not something that a customer used to touch every day. It's like a once in 6 months, once in 12 months kind of a thing. But with agentic AI coming in picture, it will become much more easier to do bunch of stuff. I think the carrier community needs to do a lot in terms of identifying the risks of the future. I mean, if you look at the products that are out there, that has been out there for the last 50, 60, 70 years, but you might have newer products popping up, and that's where I think agentic AI will push the industry towards.
Great. Well, it's really exciting to get a glimpse of a future where AI isn't just a tool, but a core part of how insurers operate and compete. So thank you so much for sharing these insights. And it's really clear that the right strategy, governance, human-centric approach will lead to insurers being able to transform their operations and unlock significant business value through AI. We're really looking forward to seeing how this technology is going to continue to evolve in the industry. So a huge thank you to BK from Quantiphi. Thank you so much for joining us today. And then a special thanks to Monitor for sponsoring the Live at ITC set. Thank you so much for making this possible.